In this video, we'll be covering how we help businesses chart a path to profitable revenue growth using our proven approach called a growth roadmap. I'm Sam Shoemaker. I'm Creative Services Manager here at Improve and Grow, and I'm here with Carl Lefevre, owner and the mastermind behind the growth roadmap. So, Carl, tell us what causes business owners to reach out to you in the first place?
Yeah, most business owners reach out to us because they want to grow their revenue, and their biggest problem is they need more sales leads.
So, what do you find is their biggest challenge?
In short, they lack a clear strategy for generating leads. So they know they want to do marketing, but they come to us saying something like, I want to run Facebook ads, or I need a new website, or I just need to do better at SEO. But just a question or two will uncover there's no real clear strategy behind that. So that's really the problem, the first problem that we solve.
And how do we help them deal with those challenges?
So we've done that in a lot of different ways over the years, but we now have one very specific way we do that is over a 30-day period, we run a project with them that we call a growth roadmap, which is a 3-phased approach to coming up with a clear, proven strategy that's backed by data, has a step-by-step plan and all the metrics you need so that you can proceed with investing in marketing with 100% confidence because you know exactly what channels to focus on, what audiences to pursue, what changes need to be made to your website, and you have a clear guide of what metrics to expect every step of the way.
So the growth roadmap is this short-term 30-day project to build a strategy, but then you're describing all these other things that come out of that strategy that you have to execute on this system. We call this system an inbound lead system. Tell us a little bit about that. What does that look like?
Yeah, so while we're going out and researching a strategy, we are researching it with an end in mind, which is creating what we call an inbound lead system. So again, most business owners are trying to create revenue by getting more leads for whatever service they offer. And we're using what's called an inbound approach. And the best way to understand that is but to think about the opposite, which is an outbound approach. That's basically blasting your message out there, knocking on doors, getting your brand in front of anybody and hoping that some of them are interested. We use an inbound approach. So instead of pushing a message out to people, we're pulling them in by getting in front of people that already know they have the problem you solve. They're already out there seeking a solution. We're simply making it possible to present your brand to them through your website, show them that you have a authoritative way of solving that problem, and then making it easy for them to become a lead for you by filling out a request for quote form or booking a call or picking up the phone and calling your office.
So that's the product of the strategy, is the inbound lead system. That's what's going to drive the leads, which will drive the revenue growth.
That's right.
But stepping back to the strategy, how do we go about developing the growth roadmap strategy?
Yeah, so there's 3 phases to that. We start with identifying your revenue drivers. Then we go out and do market and competitive research. And then we come to you with a detailed step-by-step growth action plan. So
you just laid out this 3-phase approach to our growth roadmap. Let's walk, as you say, let's crawl before we walk, before we run, right? So let's break down the first phase, the revenue driver phase. Can you give us an overview of what that's about?
Yeah, so when we're putting a strategy for developing your inbound lead system, we want to start with the end in mind. In other words, we want to build a system that's engineered or reverse engineered, if you will, to meet your specific revenue goals. So in this phase, we're going to start by understanding what is your revenue goal and other goals that are related to your investment in marketing. Then we're going to look at, okay, who do we need to reach with this marketing? So who are the customers that you know and love to work with and are highly profitable? Let's create an ideal client profile that's based on those good customers. And then let's also figure out how are we positioning your company and what exactly are we offering your audience?
So just to make that more clear, this first phase has 3 steps, steps 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Those steps are marketing investment goals, ideal client profile, and irresistible offer. Let's go one by one and go through each of those. So step 1 is marketing investment goals. Explain that.
Yeah, so again, we want to begin with the end in mind. We want to figure out exactly what the goals of the marketing need to be. So we've developed a tool that we call Marketing Investment Calculator. Think about it if you're buying a home and you want to figure out what your mortgage payment's going to be. You put a bunch of numbers in there, it pops out answers. Here's how long it's going to take to pay back. Here's what your mortgage payment is going to be. In a similar way, we collect information from you, like how much revenue do you want to generate? What's your sales win rate? What's your lead quality rate? And what's your gross profit margin? And we use that information to answer important questions like how many customers do you actually need to add to your business to hit your revenue goal?
Right.
How many marketing leads are you going to need to generate that many customers? And how much can you afford to invest in marketing to get those leads while still getting a decent return on investment?
So then the next step, though, is the ideal client profile. Break that down for us.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that as near as 100% as possible of all of your marketing spend is directed at reaching people that actually line up with your ideal client profile. So we'll talk more about that in the second phase, but at this stage, we're just trying to get a clear profile of who your best customers are.
These are sometimes called personas, is another general term for that. So step 3 then is the irresistible offer. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so just as important of knowing who you want to reach is what is the message you want to reach them with? How are you, unless you're the only competitor that offers a solution for this problem in the market, we need to clarify what really makes you unique. What is going to make you stand out in the market so that people really want to flock to your brand.
So moving out of phase 1, we're moving into phase 2, market research. This is steps 4, 5, and 6, which are target audience pool, competitive intelligence, and isolate best channels. Let's start with step 4, that target audience pool. Break that down for us.
Yeah, so in step 2, we gathered your ideal client profile, but just knowing who you want to reach and how you describe them doesn't always line up with how we can reach them through advertising platforms or search engine optimization. So in this step, we're trying to translate your picture of an ideal client profile to an actual target audience that we can reach on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or Google search engine or other marketing channels that are uncovered. So here we're actually trying to not just figure out how to define and reach that audience, but also figure out how many of them are out there. Like, is there enough people that match your ideal client profile on LinkedIn? Is there enough of those people there to actually reach the goals that were set?
So along with that, we want to understand what the competition is also doing to try to reach those people. And step 5 is the competitive intelligence. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons we gather competitive intel. One is just to get a sense for the current marketing landscape. We can learn a lot from the people that are already ranking well or competing well. It also gives us some sense of market share and market potential for you. Where do you currently stand against that competitive set? And lastly, there's lots of cool things we can learn, like where are those top ranking competitors getting their traffic from? What kinds of features or functionality or content do they have on their website, which can help us identify things that we either need to do or avoid in your marketing plan.
So step number 6 is isolating the best channels. That seems very related. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so early in this phase, we kind of went broad. We went and looked for where could we find your target audience on all kinds of platforms. We identified top ranking competitors and the different channels that they're using. This step is all about narrowing down. So we want to isolate the best channels. Last thing we want to do is give you a strategy that amounts to a shotgun approach, or another term we use is random acts of marketing.
Right.
So we want to give you a very focused strategy. We apply the 80-20 rule, which basically says what's the least amount of things we can do, in this case, the least amount of marketing tactics we can employ to get the highest impact or the best results. So here we're actually using benchmark data to figure out not just what kind of volume we can generate with these channels, but also what's the profitability going to be on each of those channels, and isolating the 1, 2, or maybe at most 3 channels to focus on.
So the last phase then, to sum this all up, gets very practical, and that we call it the growth action plan. give us an overview of what happens in the growth action plan phase.
Yeah, so this is the thing that people really want. Tell me what to do, tell me what to invest in, what steps to take. So now that we're clear on what your goals are, who you're trying to reach, what your unique offer is, and we've researched your audience, your competition, and we've isolated these key channels, now it's time to put that step-by-step plan together. So that involves 3 steps like the other phases did.
Right.
First, we audit your marketing assets. In other words, what do you already have to work with and what needs to change about that, if anything? 2, what is the exact step-by-step plan for the next 12 months? And then 3, what are all the key performance metrics so that you know every step of the way whether things are working the way they should or not?
So let's jump into that. So step number 7 here in the third phase is current marketing system audit.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the 3 main components there. We want to understand the effectiveness of your website. Your website is like the hub of all the digital marketing work. It's the place we're attracting people to with this inbound lead system. So we want to make sure your website is up to snuff, if you will, that it's positioned for success, it engages people well, it provides a good user experience, and makes it easy for them to quote unquote convert. In other words, become a lead when they're ready to do that. We also look at any marketing campaigns you're already running. Last thing we want to do is throw out something good that's working well. We also don't want to perpetuate something that's not working or that's a waste of money. So we're going to check out any existing campaigns you're running and see what we can learn from that. We're also going to look at your overall online presence. We want to make sure that when people search out your brand, that they see a strong established presence. So we'll check out how you show up on social, how you show up on search, as well as how you show up on key industry platforms.
And then the next step sounds very familiar. Marketing plan. Tell us how this gets really practical.
Yeah, so this is where we're now taking everything we've learned and saying, okay, what do we need to address first, second, and third, and what are the exact steps that we need to follow? We basically give you a 12-month plan that tells you exactly what steps to take, both on your website and with your marketing campaigns, to implement this strategy over the next 12 months.
So then the last step here is the key performance metrics, or KPIs, some people would hear it called. Tell us about how that's really important to our process.
Yeah, so again, I'll liken this to an investment, whether it's an investment in a home or some financial product. You want to know what you can expect. Like, I don't know about you, but you choose to invest in something because of the kind of return you're going to get. So this is really about 2 things. It's putting together the numbers to say, based on all this research we've done, what can you reasonably expect this plan to produce? But then we also map it out over those 12 months, over that first year, so that every step of the way, you can know whether you're on track or not. Like, eventually you're going to know because sales are coming in, you're generating more profit than you ever have before. But in those early months, it's going to be more about leading indicators like, is traffic growing the way that it should? Are leads growing the way that they should? Is the lead quality where we need it to be? Are these turning into good sales opportunities, customers, and revenue?
So to sum this all up, what are the results of all of this work? All the 3 phases, the 9 steps. Just paint us a picture of what is the results.
Sure. So in one way, just to get really practical, you get a very detailed plan. We present it to you. That's a 2-hour meeting. That sounds like a really long meeting. That's because there's a lot of detail here. You get a very detailed plan that's delivered to you in both a presentation format, but we also give you a file that you can use to review that entire plan. We also give you a scorecard that shows you all those key performance metrics and exactly where they should be each step of the way.
So tell us how this works for our clients. Give us some examples of the results that we're getting for our clients every day.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, most businesses aren't just going around hiring an agency to develop a strategy so they can put it on the shelf. That's just a step in the direction of actually achieving the revenue goals they're after. So we have the benefit of having lots of data. We've worked with over 100 companies over the last 10 years. We've built and refined and proven out this process in our work with them. And while results vary by company, the typical average is 30 to 50% improvement in the first year with a 3-time or better return on investment, which essentially means they're getting 3 times more profit back than what they invested in the marketing strategy. just to give you, so, it's great to quote averages, but I can give you just a few specific examples here. On the kind of extreme side, or not extreme, but really good results side, we work with a company called WCI Data Solutions. They're a technology consulting company. And after the first year of working with us, they saw a 300% improvement in their sales lead volume and subsequently their revenue. Another example would be a company called Jones Square. They're an outsourced accounting company. They came to us, they were doing well, but they wanted to grow. They wanted more sales leads. In their first year, they saw a 77% improvement in the volume of leads that they were getting for their website. And just one more example, we work with a southeastern logistics firm called B.R. Williams. In our first year working with them, they saw a 56% increase in the amount of leads they were getting from their website.
So those three examples were pretty different industries. What kind of industries does this work well for, or what kind of companies does this work well with?
Sure. So we've worked with tons of different industries. And so I'd like to believe, and I think this is true, that this approach would work with virtually any type of organization. That said, it's comforting to work with an agency that actually has experience in your specific industry or at least similar industries. So like most agencies, we've spent our time working with particular types of customers. In our case, we have the most experience implementing this approach with technology companies, consulting businesses, and professional service businesses. So businesses that offer some sort of professional service like bookkeeping or cleaning or installations.
So if somebody watching this video wants to get started with the growth roadmap, tell them what steps do they have to take?
Yeah, so the easiest, simplest way to describe it is book a free call with us. We want to make sure that this approach is a good fit for you and that you're positioned for success. So on that first call, we're going to learn about your business, dig into your revenue goals, and determine whether or not our approach is going to be a good fit.
What else do you want to say just to close the thoughts on this growth roadmap strategy?
Yeah, I would say don't settle for random acts of marketing. Well, we've just gone through this process, which hopefully has shown you that there's a very clear and proven way for giving you the data you need and the plan you need so that you can actually invest with confidence. Digital marketing isn't cheap, it costs money.
Yep.
You want to reach a particular result and get a good return on that. I can't think of any better way than to create a clear data-backed strategy so that when you embark on doing all this digital marketing, you know exactly what to expect.